Hello and welcome in to episode 9 of season 2 of Looking Up With Laird. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined once again by our resident experts, Sam Tighe and Harry Trades, today to add 4 more names to the Looking Up With Laird Sorare Data watch list. Sam, I was just making fun of you, so I feel like you should go first.
Thanks so much. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to start with my rogue shout. We like a rogue shout, don't we?
Always.
I think. It's going to be Jean-Philippe Gabamin. I think you say the G. I don't think we ever really got to the bottom of it. But here he is. He's been around for ages. People will know who he is just because of the sheer amount of injuries that he has accrued over the course of his career, which is an awful starting point, isn't it, for talking about investing in a card. But I wouldn't be doing this unless you could quite clearly see that it's potentially a small risk worth taking based on the price. Obviously, that's the starting point. He's running pretty damn cheap at limited or at rare. So the reason that I quite like this is because when Gabamin has been fit, and like it has happened every now and then, if you go to it all scores, not only is he clearly a very good player, but he has hit some heights. Like if you can start chaining the games together, like he did back in Russia, not like he did at Everton, and like he has done to a point in Turkey, clearly there's a player in there, and there's also an SO5 player in there. Now, injuries are the reason why a 30 million move to Everton ultimately never really panned out, and he never really kicked on. But he's joined a Ligue 2 club in Dunkirk. And like, okay, it might be a bit intense for him, and we might have to figure out what the rotation patterns are, how much his body can take. But potentially on a weekly schedule here, he's going to be involved in a lot of tackles and a lot of duels. And that is what Jean-Philippe Gabamin was always very, very good at, back at Mainz and into Everton, and then sporadically since. And we're just looking at an example of one of those players who's stepping down quite a serious level in quality. And I think it's interesting, and I think it's genuinely worth looking at for quite a lot of people because this could pay off quite handsomely.
Dunkirk they're not last, but they're close.
No.
So the first thing I notice, and I know you're going to sit here and be like, he notices the 24 L15, but that is not the first thing I noticed. First thing I noticed is that Jean-Philippe and I share a birthday, which I believe is now the second player we have brought up that was born on September 24th, but I cannot remember the other one. Anyway. So now that the important stuff is out of the way, I think what you have here is really interesting. I don't know anything about Dunkirk's existing. I don't know if he would play center back or here we go. Or center mid, where he had been playing for a lot of his career. Looked like he had a few games in Turkey at center back, but I don't know. Coming back from injury with the cost that he is, it seems reasonable.
I'm not going to hide from the fact that it's a little punt, but these are the kind of things that can pay off. I mean, we do have to take some of these sometimes, and at $3 or whatever it is for a limited, like I would be like, yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's give it a go. He's stepping down massively in quality. He gets loads of games to play. Very, very frenetic physical league, which should lead to duels. Hopefully not injuries, but we'll see. We'll see. If this guy was running at $50 for a rare, I'd be like, what's the point in this? But he's not. This is potentially quite a nice situation to get involved in. You don't get many situations where you get to buy into a transfer in November, do you? In European football. But he just kind of rocks up there after a while, and here he is. So let's have a look.
Yeah, I think it's worth one of those. Yeah, if you're somebody who's willing to take a punt on a player, like you said, not even $3 for the limited. And frankly, if he doesn't immediately come in, you'll get it for cheaper. And then when he starts to play, he'll be fine. And we have kind of mentioned previously, Ligue 2 has there are plenty of very good scorers in this league, and they're just like stat accumulators. And we kind of, Quinny and I have joked that this is where the Opta interns really step up and show what they can do. They're just pushing buttons, tackles one all over the place. And I mean, he's the type of player that has always kind of done that work. And so if he can get a regular run in the starting 11, then yeah, that's a steal at the price for sure.
There you go. I have not yet bought his super rare, but stay with me. Stay tuned.
The Harry trade special right there. I happen to have bought his super rare 3 years ago for $8, but Harry, I'm going to kick to you. Do you have the super rare of the player you're about to talk about, though?
I don't, but you have a super of the other player I'm going to talk about.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, not this specific player, I don't think, but we actually are staying in the French second division. We're going to have a look at a player called Amen, spelled Aymen. Butu Tau is how I think you pronounce it, Sam. I know you're going to try and correct me, but I've Google translated this. So if anyone's going to come for me, any Frenchies in the comments, I've done my research.
I think it's close enough.
Yeah,
it's close enough. Yeah, Amen Butu Tau is what the French lady on Google Translate told me.
Look at that L5. That's way too high. Sorry.
It is high. It is high. Just I do my sort of weekly, sometimes daily search on the Sorare data, sort of last game week scorers, and a little Amen popped up with a 37 AA in the last game against your boys, Dunkirk. Battle of the
my boys are Saint Etienne and Pau and Rodez. I've got lots of Ligue 2 boys, but we've got to wait a while before the
Dunkirk's not going to be one of them.
Yeah, come on, we've got to qualify it first. We've got to qualify it.
Until you got the Super Rare, yeah. But no, I mean, just having a look at his sort of most recent game, which was the sort of alert for me, seeing that 37 AA, midfielder cards. Kind of involved in quite a lot of defensive stuff as well, which was quite interesting. Not only the attacking stuff, 5 attempted assists, which then took me to Valenciennes data page to see that he's basically their main man. Shock and shock horror, right? One of the top average scorers on corners, free kicks, even penalties. And I'll be honest, I never heard of him ever, and I'm sure we haven't either. And he's a thing. He doesn't have new cards, so Valenciennes don't have new cards, I believe. So you're only looking at last season's mint. But what was it, $5-6 for a limited? I think the rare is not cheap. I think it's at like say $80-$90. But you've got a player who's the main man in a team that are struggling. But if anyone's going to score or do anything in this game for that team, basically going to be him. So, you're not going to get, the crazy, oh my God, matchups like a PSV would have at home to anyone. But I think, the matchups look okay. If I'm looking at the Sorare indicators that, nothing's like incredibly hard. I mean, everything's hard when you're at the bottom of the league, but those scores seem to not matter as much as maybe they would in another league potentially. I think he's contracted to like 2025. So, I mean, he's doing good things in a team that are struggling, which is not a bad sign. Does that potentially mean a move at some point? Maybe. But I think he's come through the youth ranks there. When I checked on SofaScore, he hadn't they didn't buy him from anybody. I just felt like he was a card that I've honestly never ever heard of. But with all the sort of things that he comes with, like I said, set pieces and all that good stuff, that we like. No, I think it's interesting. Player who can get DAs and score 30-40 AA, sign me up.
So I love that Sam picked a player from the 17th, 18th best team in Ligue 2, and you were like, hold my beer. I'm going right to the bottom. But
deep sea diving.
But 37 AA is really tough to get, like for any player. Even if it was just a single game. But that's, I don't know anybody who, like, I certainly have never heard of this guy. And if you've never heard of this guy, then surely most people have not. But certainly worth looking to. And that, like you said, he's under 23 for another 2 seasons after this. So, or is it 1 season after this? 24? I guess it's 1 more, right? After this season. Yeah. Sorry, years are flying by on me. But like, I wonder if we'll get new cards. I feel like Sorare kind of indicated more were coming at some point, but they have not come yet. So
They said they were trying.
Yeah.
Well, they said that about the championship last year when they got the 5. They're like, we're going to try and get some more, and they got 4 back the following year. They got they get even fewer back. So that didn't really help, did it?
Yeah.
I feel like if they're going to get the license, they got it by now. That's my gut feeling. Because it's the same with Saint Etienne, where like they don't have new cards, and it's like, well, surely, although they did renew those Americas teams like in August or whatever it was, like Fortaleza and that. So yeah, maybe all bets are off on that one. But this could be, again, for however long it gives you that opportunity, is a bit of a game breaker because you get that 5%. It's very powerful.
Let's see.
Start
I haven't tried. I'll be honest. I haven't tried.
I mean, open for trades right here.
Nice.
Is he open for Harry trades though? Is the
is
the question.
I knew there was a joke somewhere and it just didn't come to me, but you just absolutely nailed it. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's possible he's the most obscure player we have ever added to this list.
Yeah, he really is.
Hey, do you want the partial set piece taker for the last place club in France's second division? And you're like, yes, I do. That is what I want.
What about that Andorran goalkeeper?
That
plays a VRL 2.
Oh, don't even get me started. He's got his place back. He
did get it back. I did notice that. Yeah.
And he got an assist. He got an assist. He got a clean sheet. Sorry. He's back. He is the weirdest card on Sorare, by the way. Like, if you look at his scores, the games he plays for the second team doesn't actually show up in. So it shows up in his recent,
because they keep moving him.
Yeah. So he was on the bench in the midweek for the VRL's first team, if you have a look, against Maccabi Haifa, and then played against Tenerife and got the clean sheet. So it's a bit strange. But then if you go to at the top and it says next fixtures, the second division fixtures won't show there.
Yeah, because he's currently listed as Villarreal.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's frustrating because in the lineup builder, I don't know when he plays. Basically.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but we're stuck with him now.
Did you buy him for the for the Andorra?
Yeah. I bought him for the international break for sure.
And what was the score that he got? Just refresh.
I think it was minus 3. It was some. I've not been able to use. I've not had what have I had out of him? So I didn't have that Belarus game. Did I have that Belarus game?
No.
Did I? I couldn't have. I couldn't have had a positive score.
I couldn't have.
It must. It's that Kosovo game. Yeah, I had the Kosovo game. Then I must have had the Romania game. Yeah, I've only had him for 2 games, and then he played 1 or 2 VRL 2 games potentially, and now he's back in. So,
looking up.
Yeah, he's looking up.
All right, it's almost like you get a bonus pick this week with Iker Alvarez. I'm looking up here. Okay, Sam. Now that you've gone rogue, who do we got next?
Yeah, well, we're gonna shift away from rogue, but we're sort of being swept up in the narrative here a little bit still. This is as much about real life looking up as it is so rare. Gorka Gurutheta of Athletic Club, who plays up front for a pretty damn good team. But the common complaint with him over the years has been, like with every other Athletic forward, really, he doesn't score enough goals. He doesn't finish the chances. Athletic can't score. They're really solid defensively. I was watching him the other night, and he definitely taken a bit of a leap at 27 years of age, which isn't that normal, but it's happened. That game against Celta was nuts. And he was very unlucky to concede that penalty. It was one of those handball ones where it just kind of flicked up and hit it. And it's like, how many of those do you see nowadays? Very unfortunate. But he's starting to turn in some more positive scores. And I find this interesting and I find it attractive because Athletic are a good team and they don't really have many options up front. And so if he starts scoring and he's feeding off Oyan Sanset and Iñaki Williams and Nico Williams, who are really good creative players. And what they tend to do is they just hit the byline and cross the ball back in. They're creating high value chances. If Guruceta is getting to the point where he's actually starting to convert them, we might be onto something here. And it's not like Athletic can go to the market and be like, he's not good enough, we have to replace him. Because there's literally no one, because they can only sign Basque players, and there are no Basque strikers apart from an 85-year-old Fernando Llorente, who's, would have to come out of retirement or something. Like there's no one else. There's nothing they can do. So I like this from like a safety perspective, first and foremost. Like if you're building a threshold team and you're looking for someone with quite a manageable L15 up front, who might get 39 or 40, which isn't a threshold killer by any stretch if you do the matchup properly, but can now get to 60 and 70 and will play. Like he will play because they literally have no one else. I'm starting to look at that in a better light. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I think there's tremendous value in always playing. And he's giving them more, additional reasons for him to stay that way. It's funny that you mentioned this. I think it was on Monday, some game week preview that Quinny and I were talking about Alvaro Morata. And like Morata seems like the kind of perfect player to come into this side because he can just stand there and take the crosses. But obviously there's that giant issue that he's not Basque. So yeah.
No, he's not.
But one of those fun little wrinkles about Athletic that they have to, obviously they know that they have to deal with it. And yet here they are using, as I called him, the poor man's Goretzka, which really there's nothing remotely comparable but to them other than 3 comparable letters in their last name. So
well, yeah, I mean they probably score about the same amount of goals as each other, to be honest. Despite the fact that one plays in central midfield, because Goretzka is that kind of player. But yeah, this is no luxury pick. But as I've been finding out by going through that threshold journey again, this time at super rare level, there really is a case, and there really is room for players like this. You plug him in, he scores 39 or 62, and either way, you've fielded a good, strong side, and you're on course. So yeah, when I was watching this game, I was like, he's taken a bit of a leap. This is very welcome, not just for Athletic, but for Sorare stock too.
Who tends to come in for him? Do you know? I just noticed that he doesn't really play 90 much. Obviously, I could just look it up.
Yeah, just please just look it up. Obviously, it used to be our old friend Asier Villalibre, but it's still him a bit there. You can see Alex Berenguer, who is a winger, really. So that likely results in a shift of Iñaki up front at times, and Berenguer will go to the left-hand side. Look, a lot of this, because again, with the restrictions on Athletic, they have to get quite creative in how they use players.
Sure.
And Berenguer is a winger who spent, I think, like a good half season, maybe a season not long ago, just playing left back, just because they literally couldn't, like, there's no one and they can't sign anyone. Sorry, Alex, you're left back this year. Okay. and that's the kind of in-game stuff that Valverde has to do.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't, it's not like he can just be like, I have another one. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I will take the time right now to go back to how I was making fun of Sam before, just so everyone.
I didn't interpret it as making fun.
I wasn't really, and the current picture doesn't really do it justice. But I noticed Sam had this excellent haircut, and so I wanted to. Hold on.
Yes, I am getting a little bit Ikamunayin.
A little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, his beard's longer. His hair's longer. I'm taller. But apart from that, spot on.
Like we both have 2 eyes, a nose, and a beard. Twins.
Yeah, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout.
Just the first thing that I saw. That's all. And now everyone's going to be able to see it. All right, Harry, who is this fantastic player you have that one of us may own a super rare of?
So, well, actually, I own a card of his, not in the super rare form, unfortunately, like yourself. But we are going to be talking about Nicholas Madson, who is now, thanks to a reason we don't, well, I don't actually know, I don't think Laird knows either, is playing football again. He is, back in this Westerlo side. And when we say back in, we mean like fully integrated in as like a very interesting SO5 piece again, like he was at the start of the season. I remember like it was like a Friday night, the first Westerlo game maybe of the season. And I think he scored a penalty that night. And I think that really kicked off alarm bells in a lot of SO5 managers' heads, and was like, okay, hang on a minute. He could be like a serious, under 23 option this season with the penalties. That first 3 games was really nice. And then, own goal, played 81 minutes, and then wasn't in the squad for a few games, which is really weird. Nothing really came out, I don't think. Laird, being a super owner, was obviously trying to be quite tapped into the situation, but there was just not much out there, was it?
Is this player that, Laird, you won as a super rare right at the end of last season and got like 1 game out of and was like, oh, and then you did the whole summer, waited, and he played like 3 games and then dropped out again? Is that
so? I don't remember exactly when I won him, but he was a late mint last season. And when I won him, I created a bit of a storm over it because I won a tier 2 super rare, and he was the last. Yeah, I was the only person. I think it was cap 240, I don't know, something. But he was literally the last player in like 100 player pool, and I was the only so rare manager to win a tier 2, and I was frustrated about it because I have the 1 of 10, so it was the first super rare that they had, and they hadn't even auctioned the rare yet. So I was just like, how is this player in tier 2? And I'm like, this guy is terrible. And then, the season came back, and he scored the penalty in the first week. And I was like, never doubted this card. Always loved it. Love legend, this Nicholas Madson. But so there is, I forget, unfortunately, who the Twitter handle is, but there's someone who like claims to be very in tune with like a lot of local reporters in Belgium. And so many people were like, what's going on with Madson? Because he just like disappeared. And they were like, yeah, he's out. And everyone's like, obviously he's out. Why is he out? And like there was no injury reported. And so it felt like there was like the rumors started that there must have been like a little dust up with the manager, but nothing even came of that. There's never been a comment from the manager that there was anything. But he just like disappeared for 3 games. And then, he came on off the bench in this fantastic matchup home against Kortrijk, and then got a yellow. And it was like, oh, this isn't good either. And then, all of it out of nowhere comes back against USG and gets an almost 20 AA in a 3-1 loss. And then he scored, I think both of these might have been penalties.
Yeah, they very well might have actually.
But he happens to be on pens. I don't think he's on corners.
Set. I don't think so, no.
So it's a little strange that like, I guess he's been taking a few lately.
Okay.
But he's on penalties, and they've like strangely won a few recently. And when you have a under 23 player who all of a sudden is getting penalties and getting a 20 AA, his price is going to pop a little bit. And then it fell because he got, I think he sat again, and then, it's coming back up. But he's great when he plays. I'll put it that way. As long as he can avoid whatever it was, this mystery thing that had him sit for 3 games and then come off the bench in 2. As long as he avoids that, he should be great.
Yeah, for that limited price, I know it was cheaper at one point, when you obviously wasn't playing at all, but there was a ton of risk attached to that, right? So under $4 for a limited, under 23 midfielder that can score you a penalty, feels low risk. Midfield rares at like what, $50 or whatever, feels fine. Like it doesn't feel like daylight robbery, but definitely feels cheap enough to where you're like, okay, there's upside here. And he's back, like you said, and he scores well when he plays.
I will say that we missed last week. So Harry had his picks for last week, and Madson was one of them. Obviously, I completely forgot because I was at the edge of my seat to find out who you were going to say. But I think the limited price was under $2, and you were like, it's under $2. And I was making a U23 limited team, and
was
the
it,
price went
yeah.
from like, I think it was like 180 or something, and it went up to like 220, and I'm like, man, that's a big jump. And then he scored again, and it was like, I really just missed out on this because I did buy Ivan Gill instead, but yeah, and so you can see like this price jump. It still seems like a little underpriced, to be honest. Like I mean, obviously there's this risk that whatever caused his recent absence that can pop up again, I guess. But I don't know. He's a very, very solid scorer, and he's not particularly friendly for cat modes at this point, at least 220 and 240, which is fine. But yeah, when you're a similar player to Chouameni, it seems like it's pretty good. I'm just going to ignore oh my gosh, look who else is here.
This is how you found him.
I cheated, lads. I looked below the Nicholas Madson similar players, and there he was, little layman.
That's not cheating. That's just smart.
That's so rare dating.
It is so data.
Enzo? Oh
Like-
my gosh.
Wow. I did pay like $12 mine for my Madson for my Road to Glory. Obviously start of the season, so it kind of makes sense. But what's that? He's 3-4 times cheaper now. I know they've played 10 games or whatever, so kind of makes sense. But I still think he's maybe a little bit cheaper than maybe what he should be.
See Laird just flicking through that list, just highlighting all players that he owns and just circling them with.
No, it's not that I own.
Well,
I mean,
Gabriel
some of them.
Florentine.
Oh, Florentine, I definitely own. Yeah, I should have just expanded that. If there wasn't a 10-year Russia break coming up, I would have forced you guys to put him on the list. But
God, don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, don't remind us.
Just as I got my Wilmar Barrios to 10%, lads.
oof. Congratulations. That's always fun.
It's really cool. I don't know how many games he's got left. I don't. Oh, go on. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Tell me how many he's got left. I'm going to guess 3.
I think 3. Maybe 4.
3.
Oh.
Yeah. The funny thing about Barrios, not that this is relevant to any of the show, but just while we're here, is that so you need to, on the Sorare data pick score thing, with Barrios, you need to flip it. So Sochi are really poor, so he won't score very well because he won't do enough. But when he plays against really strong opposition, he scores 80. It's just one of those things that you learn your players, right? You learn to understand like where they play well and why they play well. Krasnodar, top team, 79, bang. Week before, Baltica, not even a real club, 49. Obviously, there's a decisive in there, which cloud things, but you can see through the history, like the really, really tough games. It's a really weird one. That really weird. Anyway, 3 games left of Wilmar. God bless him.
It's funny you say it, because if you told me, like, if you asked me how many tough games Zenit have in a season, I would literally just say 0.
They're not top dogs this year.
Yeah,
they're not the best team in the league. I think Krasnodar
is ahead of them.
Just have been the best. So yeah,
I'm looking
like
at
the
this.
Ajax fall.
Yeah,
Well, not it's bad.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see here. So this penalty first game of the season was let's call it August 1st. So you can see this is when he scored it, and everybody was like, "Oh wow, a U23 midfielder with penalties. Let's go."
Mm-hmm.
And then you get suspended. But like, this is the player. Now that he's back, he's this player in this price range right here. But instead, we're down here. Did the rare drop as much? I mean, surely it dropped.
Yep. Yeah. This is the game, man. Utility set pieces. This is the game.
All right. Got some work to do later. All right, gentlemen, thank you for that. As a reminder to everybody, if you are interested in all of the players that we add to the list, now up to 124 players, you can join the 321 Sorare managers who have already subscribed to this watch list. Just search Looking Up With Laird on Sorare TV under the watch list feature on Sorare data. I bet surely we are first. Surely. Oh my gosh. It's a landslide. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say.
As you saw that we added these players during the show. The show is not live, so you can get access to these players before the show goes live, and everybody rushes to the market to buy Nicholas Madson and pushes limited price up to $50, I'm sure, whereas Rare is right now. But anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for that, and we'll see you next week.